हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम। चंदन के
हरे कृष्ण
धन्यवाद
प्रभु जी।
प्रभु,
हरे
दंडवत प्रणाम। हरे कृष्णा।
कृष्णा
प्रवीण
प्रभु जी।
माता जी दंडवत प्रणाम। हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, धन्यवाद प्रणाम।
पद्मा माता जी दंडवत प्रणाम। हरे कृष्णा। शीतल प्रभु दंडवत प्रणाम। हरे कृष्णा। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुश्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवंश्च। श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरून् दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरम्। Okay, so we are beginning with the 18th chapter, which is um, mm, last chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the conclusion, perfection renunciation. The acronym for this chapter is SMILE. S stands for summary of Karma Yoga, something that we discussed in the first six chapters. Karma Yoga. Krishna will summarize it now. Then the three modes. Krishna will describe some more things in three modes, like knowledge in three modes, worker in three modes, and few other things in three modes. Happiness in three modes. All this comes here. Then ideal worker, where Krishna explains about Varnashram system, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. What is the purpose of following, and what are their characteristics? How do we know which Varna do I belong to? That comes in this section of ideal worker. Love of God, which is the most important section of the entire Bhagavad Gita, which Krishna covers in this chapter and he summarizes. Um, very important section. And the last is the end results, where Krishna gives benediction, um, and that we will see at the end. Okay, today we will cover summary of Karma Yoga. We will begin with modes of nature, but we will not be able to finish it. Um, okay. Um, First, summary of Karma Yoga. Arjuna said, O mighty armed one, I wish to understand the purpose of renunciation, tyag, and of the renounced order of life, sannyas. O killer of Keshi demon, master of the senses. So, Krishna has used two words at different places. He has used the word tyag and sannyas. And Arjuna is having this confusion that what is the difference between them, and Krishna explains them. So, first, I will try to explain in my own words, and then we will go verse by verse, just so that our clarity can increase when we go verse by verse. So, sannyas is when somebody take the renounced order of life. Um, mm, Tyag. or renunciation is when one is detached from the results of work, and sannyas is when one renounces the work itself. Now, sannyasis also have their own duties. So it is described that there are two kind of work or two kind of karma. One kind of karma is according to our um, which are based on material desires. One kind of karma. One kind of karma is based on spiritual progress. Um, Two kind of karma. So a person who is tyagi, he may engage in karma which may give some kind of, which may fulfill some kind of material desires, but he does it in a spirit of renunciation. He does it as a matter of duty. Then that is tyag. Along with those karma which are based on material desire, he also performs spiritual activities. He performs both simultaneously as a matter of duty. A sannyas, he gives up the activities which are based on material desires, based on varnashram system. He gives up those activities, yet he performs activities which are based on scriptures, the spiritual activities he performs. So both perform spiritual activities. One perform activities which are material by nature, but he performs without attachment to the results. Whereas sannyasis, they don't even perform the activities which are based on uh, the body, the material duties. Okay. Um, um, so the word used by Krishna is nitya karma and kamya karma. Kam means material desire. So kamya karma is karma which is based on material desire. And nitya karma is based on scripture rules and regulations, which is connected to the soul, which helps the soul to progress. Nitya karma. Um, okay. Mm. If a person, most of the people in this world, they are not interested in spiritual duties, activities, which are nitya karma. They are not interested, and they perform worldly duties, and they say we are performing karma yoga, and Krishna says karma yoga is the highest. I mean, it's ignorance. Krishna never said that karma yoga is the highest. Krishna clearly mentioned 6th chapter bhakti yoga is the highest. But they say because they are not interested in Krishna consciousness and spiritual life, in order to satisfy their ego, they say Krishna propagates karma yoga, so I must perform my karma. Well, you must perform your karma. In fact, Krishna does mention in this section that if we perform karma while attachment to the results, then it is not karma yoga. Karma yoga is when the duty is performed for the pleasure of Krishna alone. When we are doing anything because we are attached to results of some kind, it is simply going to give us another birth. It is not going to elevate us spiritually. Um, Very nice example is Arjuna. Arjuna initially wanted to fight, was not willing to fight, which is his own greatness. But his reason why he was not willing to fight, because why should I fight for material kingdom? Um, uh, how can I kill my family members? So, because he was attached, um, because he was attached, um, um, he had problem fighting. Because of his attachment, he became weak. He could not perform his karma, which even Krishna told him what to do. And that's why Krishna calls Arjuna, "You are weak, Arjuna." Um, um, Instead, Krishna showed Arjuna that you fight because even if you don't fight, the soldiers are already killed by me. And later on, Krishna showed in the universal form all the soldiers were entering into the mouth of Krishna and their heads were being crushed. So, um, 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 Duryodhan was fighting purely for the kingdom, and the result is attachment. Attachment. Now, this is another situation because Duryodhan saw Krishna at the time of death. He was also liberated. He went to heavenly planets also. But in general, people who are not practicing Krishna consciousness and performing their karma, they are 100% attached, and the result is repeated cycle of birth and death. Krishna says, um, if the work is good, we'll go to heavenly planets. If the work is bad, we'll go to hellish planets. If the work is um, mixed, then we'll come to earthly planet, human planets. Nonetheless, karma is always binding. That's why it's called karma bandhana. We are bound by karma. Any karma we perform, if it is not done for the pleasure of Krishna with a renunciation for the results, it is going to bind us. Um, okay. Um, um, and the last thing Krishna also mentions is we are not the doer of our activities. Krishna says one cannot perform one's karma till I sanction it. And same example of Arjuna. Don't think if you kill Duryodhan Bhishma Dev that you killed them. Actually, I have already decided their fate. You can see it in the future. You become my instrument. If you don't become my instrument, somebody else will become my instrument. But the results of what we are even have not started to do, what we are just starting to do, the result was already decided. Okay, I am going for an interview. Will I get a job? It's decided based on our karma. If Paramatma sanctions, we will get a job. If Paramatma sanctions, everything will be arranged in such a way that the question that person will be inspired to ask are exactly the questions whose answers you have. And that person will be inspired in their heart to feel that this new employee is the best person for this job profile. We must hire him. Everything is under the sanction of the Lord. The whole world is moving under Paramatma's direction in many ways. Um, so this is the last, that if you work out of false ego means I am the doer and I am the enjoyer. When we are attached to results, it's a work done out of false ego. Then that is not karma yoga. So this is just a very brief summary. Now, if something is not clear, it will become clear. I just summarized it just to make it easier once we go through verses to help understand it more. So Arjuna said, "What is the I wish to understand Tyag and Sannyas. Um, O killer of Keshi demon. Keshi because doubts. Keshi represents doubts. Killer of Keshi demon, please remove my doubts. Help me understand what is Karma Yoga. O master of the senses. काम्यानां कर्मणां न्यासं संन्यासं कवयो विदु सर्वकर्म फलात्यागं प्राहुस्त्यागं विचक्षणा. Okay, so the first two line um, explains about sannyas, and the second two line explains about tyag. So it says kamya nam. Kamya means kamya karma. Kama means material desires. Kamya nam karma nam nyasam. Nyas is renouncing, giving it up. Nyasam. So sannyas is when kamya karma are given up, or activities based on material desire, like um, um, whatever people do, um, there are material desires involved in this world, whatever they do, um, whether it is um, job, family, anything people do, which are now varnashram system. um, if these activities are performed for the sake of Krishna, then they become bhakti. But most of the people in this world, they perform all the activities because they are attached to the results. That's a fact. That's a fact. They're attached to the results. So it becomes kamya karma, which are activities based on material desire. Um, um, so tyag, tyag or renunciation is when one is not attached to results of their work. That is tyag. Sannyas is when one give up the kamya karma itself. Okay. So sannyas or renounced order of life is giving up kamya karma or activities based on material desire. The learned say so. And tyag or renunciation is giving up results of all activities. So this is sannyas and tyag. So two kinds of karma, nitya karma, which are based on scriptures. Both should perform them. Unfortunately, in the age of Kali, people are only interested in kamya karma, work based on material desire. Everything is based on material desire, whether it is job, whether it is family, whether it is kids, whether it is um, um, restaurant or movies. Practically every moment people are working for fulfilling material desires. um, um, and that is binding, that is not karma yoga. um, nitya karma, uh, we will see what nitya karmas are. They both should perform them, whether one is in any order of life, both perform them. But kamya karma, only tyagis do them without attachment to the results. Sannyasis don't engage in kamya karma. So this is basic definition. um, Now Krishna explains um, yagya dana. Now Krishna explains, now this is clear, this is um, um, kamya karma and nitya karma. Now Krishna explains specifically about nitya karma, and Krishna says यज्ञदान तपा कर्मा ज्ञाता जम कार्यम एव तत् यज्ञोदानं तपश्चैव पावनानि मनीषिणाम्. Yagya, dan, tapa, sacrifice, charity, and austerity. Na tyajam karyam eva tat, should not be given up. Now, what is sacrifice? What is charity? What is austerity? Chapter 17 is dedicated to that. That we discussed past couple of weeks. What is sacrifice? Action done for the pleasure of Supreme Lord, which is based on scriptures as a matter of duty without attachment to any returns. That is sacrifice in mode of goodness. Scripture based as a matter of duty without attachment. Then there is sacrifice in passion, which is based on scriptures but with attachment to results, like devotional service. Devotional service is based on scriptures, but some people do it as a matter of duty, um, because it should be done. Some people do devotional service, they come to ISKCON temple, they pray to Krishna, and they ask material desires. Give me more wealth, give me some job, give me this, give me that. So that becomes sacrifice in mode of passion. Prabhupada says in sacrifice that one should go to temple just to pay obeisances to the Lord, because the soul is part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna is our father. So just to offer respects to our father, one should come to the temple. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Aham Bija Pradapita. I am the seed giving father, O Arjuna. Krishna is Krishna is our original father, because Mamai Vamsa Jiva Loka, because we are part and parcel of Krishna as a spirit soul. Um, so trying to perform devotional service for the pleasure of Krishna, just to please Krishna, uh, um, that is sacrifice in goodness or sacrifice in transcendence. Sacrifice in ignorance is without scriptural injunctions. Anything done um, without scriptural injunction, that's useless. Then charity, we saw charity given to the right person, um, um, without any desire for return at a right time, place, circumstances, charity in goodness. But charity with something in return, uh, although according to scriptures, but we want something in return, becomes passionate. And charity which are not based on scriptures, at a wrong time, place, circumstances, becomes charity in ignorance. Then austerity, Krishna explains, austerity of body, bow down, um, keep it simple. No need to overly decorate the body. Keep it simple. Celibacy, brahmacharya, uh, um, um, sense control. These are all austerity of the body, respecting. Then austerity of tongue, um, sweet words. Don't get into unnecessarily arguments. Um, Not agitating to others, not speaking in a way that the other becomes agitated. Um, um, Pleasing, beneficial, truthful, reciting of Vedic mantras. These are all austerity of tongue. And austerity of mind, we saw gravity, only when required speak, otherwise internally be Krishna conscious. Satisfaction, keep the mind centered around Krishna. The moment mind goes outside of Krishna's zone, the mind will become dissatisfied with the desire to enjoy. Um, Gravity, self control, these are all austerity of mind. Mhm. Okay, so these things are not to be given up. Means whether one is in sannyas order or whether one is a tyagi, uh, no matter which order of life one is in, sacrifice must be performed. Like Krishna says, among all the sacrifice, I am japa. This is in 11th chapter. Yagyosi japa. Um, and even Bhagavatam explains Yagya Sankirtana Prayajanti hi Sumedasa. Yagya is Sankirtan Yagya. In this age of Kali, this is the most recommended sacrifice. And when it is done for the sake of pleasing the Lord, as a matter of duty, um, it should be performed by any person in any order of life. If somebody says, I have taken sannyas, so I will give up all sacrifice, then Krishna says that is renunciation and ignorance. And we will see that renunciation in three modes right after this. So these has to be performed. Charity have to be performed. Different people give different charity. Sannyasis give charity of holy name. Other people also give charity of holy name, but they can give other charity of wealth also. So different people give different charity, but the act of charity has to be performed. Whether one is rich or poor doesn't matter. Whatever one can give, actually it is described by Rupa Goswami, when no charity, then we become very attached. Charity brings renunciation. um, um, and the heart becomes hard when there is no charity, because then we don't feel the pain of others. So that charity helps. So charity should not be given up, and austerity should not be given up, of the body, of the mind, of the tongue. They are not to be given up by anyone. Yagya dan tapaschaiva, indeed sacrifice, charity and austerity, pavanani manishina, purify even the great souls. Whoever we are, these three activities has to be performed. And the people in renounced order, sannyasis, they engage only in these activities. They chant the holy names, which is a sacrifice. They give charity of the holy name, and they live an austere life. with respect to tongue, with respect to mind, with respect to body. And their whole life is based on just these three activities. So these three activities should not be given up. Okay. And what should be our mood while performing this niyata or nitya karma without attachment or doership mentality? When one is performing any act, one should not feel that I am the doer. Like some people, um, um, they give charity to some charitable homes, and then they think, if I don't give charity, then these people will die because they will die out of hunger. Because of my wealth, they are being maintained. It's a, like charity of food. Um, so without the doership mentality, do it as a matter of duty. It is my duty, it will purify me, I must do it. So without attachment or doership mentality, without expectation of results. Do you want something from it? No. Now when you perform sacrifice, w- you can expect spiritual progress, you can expect purification of heart, you can expect divine pleasure in your heart. Any spiritual thing you can desire, and that is still considered desireless. But don't chant because you get a good job, or because this happened or that happened or that happened. So, and no material desire while performing sacrifice, austerity, and charity. Spiritual, yeah, I'm giving donation. If I'm giving, my purpose is to please Krishna, to make spiritual progress. Do anything you do without a doership mentality. If I'm able to do anything good, because of Krishna's hands. And Krishna explains how to come out of this doership mentality when he says there are five factors involved in getting things done, in getting anything done. That's just to explain that one can be detached and one can be free from this doership mentality while performing any activity. Because I myself cannot do everything I desire. Duryodhan wanted to be the king, but he could not. We want so many things, but we cannot. So there are more factors other than we alone for something to get done. So when we see a broader vision, all the factors, then we give up our doership mentality because we understand nothing can happen without the sanction of the Lord. So without expectation of result and as a matter of duty, kartav kartavyani. Okay. Act of charity, austerity, sacrifice should be performed as a matter of duty. In now, this is very very nice, very important. In Krishna's opinion, tyag and sannyas are essentially the same. There is no difference between renounced order of life and renunciation of the fruits of work. Thus, both these words are equated as renunciation. Now, Krishna describes renunciation in three modes. Now, if somebody, like Prabhupada used to say, even if somebody is in Grahastha ashram, Prabhupada used to say he is a Grahastha sannyasi. If he acts without attachment, um, without any material desires. Now, somebody may say, is this one ashram better than other ashram? The answer is no. Um, all four ashrams are meant to serve Krishna, actually. And the goal of all the four ashram is actually to go back to Godhead. It does not depend upon the ashram. But one can be attached even in a sannyas ashram, um, and desire material benefits while performing sacrifice, charity, and austerity. Can have material desires while doing these things. He will again come back in the cycle of birth and death. So it's about what who we are within us. It's not what dress we wear or who we are outside. If we are performing all activities without material desire as a matter of duty, keeping Krishna in the center, and the only goal is Krishna, then we may be doing all kind of things in the world. It is as good as sannyas. So that's why Krishna used these two words, sannyas and tyag, simultaneously. But unfortunately, most of the people in the name of karma yoga, except probably devotees, all the people, they are simply working for material desires, and they cannot be called karma yoga. Karma yoga is a very advanced principle. Everything is done without any material desire, that requires purity of heart. Otherwise, by default, we are working and we are attached to the results. And the proof that we are attached to the results, when result doesn't come what we are expecting, we'll be frustrated. Or when somebody takes us away something by force or by some other means, we'll be frustrated. So that's a sign that the attachment is there. It's not easy. Okay. um, um, नियतस नियतस्य तु संन्यासा कर्मणो नोपपद्यते मोहातस्य परित्यागस् तामसा परिकीर्तिता नियतस्य नियत कर्मा or nitya karma to sannyasa, giving up prescribed obligatory duties, which is nitya karma, as we discussed, uh, due to illusion or lack of scriptural knowledge. This is called tamasa parikirtana. Tamasa means ignorance. This is renunciation and ignorance. In other words, if somebody says, I have taken sannyas, I have renounced everything, so I don't need to perform any sacrifice, I don't need to perform any charity, I don't need to perform any austerity. Why? Because I am renounced, so I am beyond all these things. Then Krishna says, then you are in ignorance, you don't know, then you are in maya, illusion, moha, or lack of scripture knowledge. Then you really don't know what Bhagavad Gita says. So these activities must not be given up, they have to be performed. Otherwise, Krishna calls us in ignorance. Sacrifice, charity, austerity purify even the great souls, they have to be performed. um, um, so sannyas, even in sannyas, this is called niyata karma or nitya karma. These nitya karma, as described by Krishna, perform have to be performed. Okay. Now Krishna explains um, renunciation in passion, giving up prescribed duties. Here, specifically nitya karma. This is for both sannyasis or tyagis. For anyone, giving up prescribed duties as troublesome or out of fear of bodily discomfort. That is called renunciation in passion. It never leads to elevation. Some people, like in this particular instance, Lord Vamandev, Narayan, asked 3 steps of land in charity from Bali Maharaj. And Shukracharya, uh, he was in renounced order, um, and the spiritual master of Bali Maharaj. And Shukracharya told Bali Maharaj, do not give, because this I can see that this boy is not an ordinary boy. He is Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan. And with the 3 steps, he may take everything away from you. And then Shukracharya mood was, if he takes, where will I get my salary? Um, right now, I am the spiritual master of the king, who is Bali Maharaj. So I am living very lavishly. But if he loses everything, I will lose all my value also. So he did not want to perform charity of 3 steps of land out of bodily discomfort. It will be inconvenience to me. um, it's troublesome. So that is called renunciation in passion. So this renunciation is um, um, not recommended. One case is, you don't even see that this has to be done. That is ignorance. You don't even know what is right, what is wrong. Another is, you know this is the right thing to do, but you are afraid of doing it. That is passion. Here, Shukracharya knows to give charity to Brahmana is a right thing to do, but he was too attached. That's why it's called passion. Um, for us, like sacrifice, if we sacrifice tapasya, austerity, like austerity of body is devotional service. Like today is actually Param Guru, Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master, today is his disappearance day. Actually, disappearance day are even more important than appearance days. So very auspicious day. So we fast till noon. It's an austerity of the body. But if we don't fast till noon and say, no, this is very difficult to fast till noon, let me eat, then it becomes renunciation and passion, because we are renouncing something, we are renouncing austerity, but it is passion. Why? Because of bodily discomfort. We know this is the right thing to do, but we are afraid. Some people, same sacrifice, which is devotional service according to scripture. Some people don't want to do devotional service because they think it is difficult. It is difficult. So they renounce devotional service itself. Although they know devotional service should be performed, they renounce it. So they are called acting out of passion. They are called in passionate. They are passionate people. That's why they are not able to perform devotional service, although it is recommended, because it's inconvenient. Getting up early in the morning, especially, um, and for the sake of devotional service, just get up in the morning and do nothing. What is the use of getting up in the morning? But the purpose is Brahma Muhurat time. Brahma Muhurat is 1.5 hours before sunrise. That is the best time for performing devotional service. Actually, you can do lot of devotional service if you become a morning person. um, Multiple reason. First reason is the time is in mode of goodness. Mode of goodness is very favorable for devotional service. Like my own example, I heard this from Bhagavad Prabhu. I like this point. He is one of the friend who lives with us in the temple. um, One time he told me, and I liked the point, and he said, Prabhu, if we have to chant whatever we chant a certain number of rounds, recommended is 16 rounds. If we chant 16 rounds in the morning, Brahma Muhurat time, without even our notice, it just gets done. It's so easy. We can perform 4 5 hours of devotional service in the morning, and we feel a piece of cake. It's so easy. Why? Because it's a Brahma Muhurat time. We attend Mangal Aarti, um, 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 we chant for 2 hours. Guru Puja, we worship Srila Prabhupada. We hear 1 hour Bhagavatam class. And in between, lot of services are there. Dressing of Radha Krishna, dressing of Nityananda Prabhu and Mahaprabhu, dressing of Srila Prabhupada, many aratis, many offerings, cooking. So there is lot of service in the mornings. And it's usually 5 hours service. Usually starts at 4:30 and until 9:15, somewhere around that. So it's so easy to do it. Why? Because it's a morning time. But if somebody tells us that 1 o'clock we will have Mangal Aarti, 1:30 to 3:30 chanting, 3:30 by the time we have to cook, we have to dress, we have to hear Bhagavatam class 3:30 to 4:30, and we have to do all these artis and offerings in the afternoon, it will become very very difficult. We will not be able to do it. But morning time, it gets done so easily. So if you become a morning person, if you are morning person, but if you are not adding devotional service in your morning schedule, then you lack faith. Then you doubt Krishna's statement of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, for a faithless person, there is um, no happiness in this life but to speak of the next. So one must have faith in the process of devotional service as prescribed by Bhagavad Gita. Uh, it is not a concocted idea. It is directly spoken by Lord Sri Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita. So if you do in the morning, you can actually achieve the goal. If you really see, our night time is mostly waste. We sleep by 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, but see, what do you get done in the night? The mind is so much in ignorance and passion, and night time, the mind will go a lot towards sense gratification. So Krishna says, What is day for a materialist is night for a spiritualist. So day for a materialist is like they are 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m., 12 p.m., 1 a.m. It's a daytime for them. They do so many things, but it's a night time for a spiritualist. But what is daytime for a spiritualist? 3 a.m., 4 a.m., sorry, 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m. That is night. For a materialist, they just waste the most important time of the day simply in ignorance in sleeping. In fact, um, some research they say any sleep at 9 a.m., 9 to 12, if you sleep say 9 to 10, then the recovery of the body is like 2 hours. Any sleep before 12, it is twice as efficient. The sleep between 12 to 4, it is as efficient as number of hours. And sleep after 4, it is 50% efficiency. So if you sleep at 4 o'clock, if you sleep at 12 o'clock and you get up at 7 o'clock, then you essentially slept only 4 plus 1.5, because those 3 hours is just 1.5 equivalents. You essentially slept only for 4.5. And then if you sleep more till late morning, you will be lazy in your day. You will see that in yourself. But if you sleep at um, 9 p.m., then 9 to 12 you already took you already took 6 hours rest. So uh, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, um, he would sleep 3 hours every day. He is the Param Guru of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Guru was Saraswati Thakur, and his Param Guru was Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Bhakti Vinod Thakur would sleep only 3 hours, but his sleeping time was 2 hours, among them is 8 to 10. So that is very efficient. And he will get up at 10, and 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. he would write books, and then he would chant 64 rounds, and he would finish 64 rounds between 4:30 and 7. So just 2.5 hours, because his mind was so sharp, he could finish 64 rounds in just 2.5 hours. And he was a magistrate and deputy magistrate. He had 10 children, 10 kids. He would maintain his family. He would go job 9 to 6. And other than that, he wrote over 100 books, and he would chant 64 rounds every day. And he gave time to all family members, and he traveled and preached also. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur became so efficient. Actually, as you become a nicer and nicer devotee, you become very efficient in using your time. Actually, we can do a lot in our time, but the thing is, because of influence of ignorance and passion in our life, we simply waste our time. If you as you become more and more Krishna conscious, you will see how much of my time get wasted. And what is the result? The result is fear of performing devotional service, inconvenience of performing devotional service. um, One time I shared this, I may have shared this before. I share it very frequently. So one time there is a devotee called Gaurang Prabhu in Chowpatty, very famous preacher, very intelligent also. So one person came to, he is a brahmachari. So one person came to Gaurang Prabhu and he said, Prabhu, you are so renounced. You are IIT Bombay graduate. You could have been a millionaire by now. And you are a brahmachari. You have a zero salary, no bank account. You sleep on the floor. You have no property on your name. Um, you are so renounced. And Gaurang Prabhu, and this person was also IIT Bombay graduate, big, big person. I mean, materially big person. Um, so Gaurang Prabhu said, actually, you are more renounced than me. I renounce only material activity. You renounce Krishna only. So that is a much bigger renunciation. Who you are, Aham Bija Pradapita, you renounce him only. I only renounce few things which are anyways of not much use. Uh, So giving up prescribed duty of sacrifice, charity, and austerity because it's difficult to do, um, um, then our renunciation is in mode of passion. They have to be performed. If you perform, I will not get anything out of it. If you perform, I mean, people come, some people become interested, they stay, they perform. Some people are become disinterested and they leave. If you leave, it's your disadvantage. If you practice, if your heart becomes pure, if you become happy, um, if you become efficient in everything you do, your life becomes successful. It is for your benefit. Don't do it for the sake of somebody else. Do it because Krishna says one should see what is beneficial for me. But when we are unable to see what is beneficial for me and do things which is simply out of attachment, thinking that this is beneficial for me, then that's a sign of ignorance. That's why the purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to remove that ignorance, because body is temporary and we work so hard for the body, and then the body dies, and then everything connected to the body also dies. So this is all, the activity is called avyartha. Avyartha means not beneficial, not beneficial to the progress of the soul until it is done for the sake of pleasing Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam says, Shram eva hi kevalam. Shram eva hi kevalam is simply waste of time. But why we are so attached and eager to perform material activities? This is called conditioning. Because we are pleasure seeker, and because we identify ourselves with the body, we are trying to seek pleasure through the medium of body. And this conditioning is very thick. So even after understanding, reading, it doesn't sink in. We go back to our same routine activities which are based on sense gratification, material desires. So that's why continuous reading of Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada says if you don't read every day 2 hours, you will become victimized by Maya. At some point of time, Prabhupada said, those who are not reading every day 2 hours, my books, um, um, one sannyasi, Gopal Krishna Maharaj says, those who are not reading and chanting every day, they could not stay Krishna conscious for a long time in their life. These two activities, these are called austerities, these are called sacrifice, these are the most important. Austerity means devotional service done for the sake of pleasing Krishna. We saw about austerity last week. Radhanath Maharaj was explaining austerity means any activity done for pleasing Krishna. Okay. And what is renunciation mode of goodness? O Arjuna, when one performs his prescribed duty only because it ought to be done and renounces all material association and all attachment to the fruit, his renunciation is said to be in the mode of goodness. So, real renunciation is when you are not attached to the results, when you don't give up your prescribed duties, when you do prescribed duties, uh, um, because it should be done, it needs to be done, and you renounce all material association, all attachment to the fruits. So whether it is tyagi or sannyasi, whether it is nitya karma or kamya karma, independent of that, austerity, sacrifice, charity has to be performed. But for tyagis, activity according to varna ashram has to be performed. If you give up those activities, for example, if you say, yeah, I don't see any value, so I will give up my job, then Krishna says, well, that is again in passion. In goodness, you continue performing your activity, but as a matter of duty without attachment to the results. uh, it is not easy, but that consciousness is only possible as you advance in Krishna consciousness. The more you become Krishna conscious, the more, Srila Prabhupada said, the more we become attached to Krishna, the more we'll become detached from matter. It is impossible, 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 impossible. When somebody says, Prabhuji, I am doing my duty without attachment, they are simply cheating themselves. Please understand, they are simply cheating themselves. They are telling, they are simply making a fool number one of themselves. They are simply going to end up in the darkness of ignorance, and they want to satisfy themselves, which is a pure state of false ego. They want to satisfy themselves by saying, I am not attached. They are 100% attached. The Prabhupada explained the state of consciousness is attachment. I am telling you with experience. I I have seen it in my own life. Even after joining full time, attachment is there. um, it is impossible to not have material attachments with anything we do. Anything we do, we are materially attached. I am cooking because I am attached to what I am eating. It starts from as simple as that. I am earning because I am attached to wealth. I am attached to everything 100%. Don't fool yourself by saying, I am not attached. We are 100% attached. Only when we become attached to Krishna, everything becomes weak in front of that. When you are attracted to Krishna, then uh, whatever you are getting, you need to have that consciousness. That consciousness comes by attachment to Krishna. When attachment to Krishna is much more than our attachment to material things, then although the material attachment remains, when one thinks of Krishna, he says, no, this is my goal. Then only he can give this up. um, Krishna says this in Bhagavad Gita. Very important verse. Krishna says in second chapter. um, I'm forgetting the Sanskrit, um, but the meaning is, um, the verse, last line of the verse is param drishtva nivartate. So Krishna says, raso varjam raso apiyasya uh, param drishtva nivartate, something like that. That although the taste to material object remains, that's how advancement happens. One is developing attachment to Krishna. This is called param drishtva. Param drishtva means higher taste. So one is developing a higher taste in Krishna, in the names of Krishna, in Kirtan of Krishna, in Prasad of Krishna, in the Seva of Krishna, in association of devotees of Krishna. So one is developing a Param Drishtva. As one develops that, this attachment still remains. There is no question of attachment when there is no Param Drishtva. We are at this level only. But as we become attached to Krishna, which is a higher taste, then one will be able to give up acting on a platform of lower taste because one has something higher. Just like a monkey, when he goes from one branch to another, first he grabs another branch and then he leaves the first branch and then another branch. You naturally, when you are stable in the next step, you can give up the lower step. So without attachment, very easy. I mean, anybody can say karma yoga, Prabhu. Karma yoga is don't be attached to results of your activities. But it is not possible. Prabhupada said consciousness means attachment. The state of consciousness exhibits attachment. The only option is don't worry about, keep performing your duty. Even if you are attached, don't worry about it. Um, keep practicing devotional service. That is our only hope. Otherwise, by our believing, I am attached, I am practicing perfect karma yoga, Yamdutas and Yamraj and the decision makers are not going to see what is our belief. They will see exactly the state of the consciousness of the soul. Based on this, we are decided the next destination. So try to develop attachment for Krishna. Try to serve Krishna more and more, render devotional service. Krishna says, by devotional service, um, one becomes attracted to me and I becomes attracted to them. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, they live in me and I live in them. So they become conscious of me. And as that attachment grows more and more and more, we will become perfect karma yogis. To the extent we are Krishna conscious, that extent we become karma yogis. To the extent we are not Krishna conscious, we are simply karmis. Karmis means I am doing it with attachment to results. Okay. So then um, so true renunciation in mode of goodness is when we are true devotees of the Lord. And then the true renunciation can be attained. And if one is not renounced, basically one is not a devotee, then he will be attached. But if one is not renounced, um, atyaginam, then what will happen if I am attached to my work, which 99.99% of the people in this world are attached to their work? What happens to them? His action will lead to three kinds of result after death. Ishtam, desirable, they go to heavenly planets, or they go to hellish planet, or they take a human birth. One, basically they continue in cycle of birth and death, if because they are attached. So this, there is karma bandhana. But then the thing is, what kind of karma did we perform? Maybe we helped some poor people, some free hospitals. We definitely, we are attached to our name and fame and position and false ego. They all are there. If attachment to Krishna is not there, they all are there. But still, because the work is very good, then go and enjoy in heavenly planet. But then once your enjoyment in heavenly planet is done, come back patanti once again, and then perform your karma. And if you do wrong activity, go down and suffer. And then you come back, and then if you are mixed, take human birth and do something more, and then suffer and enjoy both. So one who is renounced has no such result to suffer or enjoy. He is free from bondage. And the perfect example of renounce is Arjun. Arjun was renounced. Arjuna was fighting. His karma was fighting. He's a Kshatriya. We have our own karma. His fighting was simply for the sake of pleasing Krishna. When we have that state of consciousness, I am doing whatever I am doing simply for the sake of Krishna, then you know that is actually impossible. If you are a pure devotee of Krishna, you cannot do that. Many people say, Prabhuji, how to make work Krishna conscious, how to make this Krishna conscious, and the answer is you cannot do that. That's a fact. We can speak sweet words and we say, Prabhu, we say in sweet words, well, engage the rest of the time in Krishna's service. The reason is because if you engage the rest of the time in Krishna's service, your attraction to Krishna will grow, your attachment to Krishna will grow, and then that will bring you on a platform of karma yoga. If you one maybe, Arjuna had four wives. Arjuna became the king also, but completely detached. And the proof is, very soon after Krishna left, Arjuna, Yudhishthir Maharaj, they could not bear separation from Krishna. Immediately they established Parikshit Maharaj as the king, and they left for Himalayas and they died there. I mean, over a period of time, one by one, they all left their body. So they could give it up, the whole kingdom, king of the planet, um, because of their attachment to Krishna. They could not bear. Another example, adverse example, is Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra, because he was not attached to Krishna, he was simply attached to kingdom. Although his 100 sons died in the hands of Bhima, he was eating the food served by Bhima in the kingdom. This is a sign of attachment. Attachment to Krishna, you can easily give up anything. Maharaj Parikshit, when he heard he is cursed in 7 days, he could easily give up. Bharat Maharaj, in the stage of bhava, he could easily give up. He could easily just go away, and they have no thoughts because they have attachment to Krishna. If we are not in that stage of bhava, attachment to Krishna, then we'll be like Dhritarashtra. And then we will always look for our comfort zone. Why? Because nothing to hang on. There is no higher attachment. That's why process of devotional service. Cultivate on your attachment to Krishna, then you become a practitioner of Karma Yoga. Uh, okay. Uh, Prabhu, you can ask publicly question.
Yeah. Prabhuji, so um, in verse number 12, we said that, or the Krishna said that those who are tyagi, they will get the fruit of, or they will get the fruit of that karma. If, sorry, those who are not tyagi, but those who are
Yes,
karma yogi, they get the fruit. It may be good, bad, or mixed.
mixed.
But the those who are in sannyas ashram, they will not get any fruit of any karma because they have renounced their karyas or the karmas.
Not
So,
necessary, Prabhu. They may be attached. Like they may. Yeah, go ahead, finish your question, Prabhu, first.
so that means it's easier in sannyasram to go back to Godhead, isn't it?
Not necessary, Prabhu. I mean, um, I can tell you from my personal experience, I don't have any um, activities which are based on material desires. I mean, physically, I don't have those activities. Attachments are there. And when attachments are there, um, I'm not going to go back to God. Till I become 100% pure devotee, which ashram I am in doesn't matter. Again, I will have, in fact, Srila Prabhupada at one point of time mentioned, many of my followers will go to heavenly planets because they may still be cultivating material desires. At one point of time, Prabhupada did mention that also.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay. Uh, I will text you for this other question that somebody uh, asked. Mm, okay. Okay. Let's go ahead. The five causes of action according to Vedanta. Um, Now, Tushar Prabhu, something to add to your question. There was a brahmachari. He he was Srila Prabhupada disciple. It's a true story. Um, he in brahmacharya ashram he got attached to a brahmacharini in the ashram, and somehow he practiced devotional service only for 1.5 years or 2 years, and he died in a car accident. And then later on he um, um, and then a girl took birth. This is a, you can search, I can send you, there's a whole article. And this girl would have past life regressions in the dream. As she started growing up, she would have dreams of uh, being a brahmachari in the London temple in the ashram, and she have all these um, um, regressions of his friends, how she used to travel, how he used to travel, how he met Srila Prabhupada. And later on, as she inquired from those who are elderly people, because she was already growing in her teenagers, so those who were in 50s and 60s at that time, that this something like this happened, did that happen, what about him? As she inquired more and more, over a period of time, she understood that it is a case of reincarnation. And later on, she took initiation from Bhakti Charu Maharaj, one of the sannyasi in ISKCON. So, just being in a particular order does not guarantee back to Godhead. It's just what we are attached to. Attachment to Krishna will take us back home, back to Godhead. Attachment to anything in this world will bring us back. Is that all right, Tushar Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So the five causes of an action. So let's finish this karma yoga. We will not be able to start the gunas, maybe 2 3 slides more. uh, so here Krishna says to give up the doership mentality. So for that we need to understand that I am not the only doer. Duryodhan wanted to win the kingdom, but he could not. He died. So whatever one desires, not necessarily that happens. So there are five factors. One is, let me put all together. This is similar to what we discussed in fifth chapter. Three doers. What are the three doers? The soul desires, the super soul sanctions, and material nature makes arrangement. So here also one doer is we desire. Another doer is the Lord, Paramatma, who sanctions. And then the material nature, the body works under material nature, the various senses and endeavors. Cheshta, Karanam, Adhishthanam. The body, the senses and endeavors, they all come under material nature. In other words, no need to remember them, memorize them, anything like that, but just the principle that I am not the only doer. I need the sanction from Krishna. If Krishna's sanction is there, whether I do or not, that is what is going to happen. That is Krishna's desire. Like whether Arjuna fight or not, those enemies will be killed because it's Krishna's desire. Somebody else will become an instrument. But if Krishna's sanction is not there, Duryodhan made intense arrangement to acquire the soldiers on his side. He had Bhishma Pitama. He tells in the first chapter. This is all statement produced out of false ego. Bhishma Pitama is on my side. Karna is on my side. Dronacharya is my side. Kripacharya is on my side. I have 11 Akshohini. My army is 1.5 times greater than them. They have nobody on their side. Krishna is there, but he is just a chariot driver. He will not pick up. Their strength is very limited to Arjuna and Bhima. That's all. They have nobody else. Everybody else I myself can defeat. But on my side, I have Bhishma. Nobody can kill. He has Ichha Mrityu Shakti. I have Kripacharya. I have Karna. They are all Dronacharya. Dronacharya is the teacher of Dhanur Vidya who taught Pandavas. So my strength is unlimited, and I am there. We are Athirathis and Maharathis, and they have no strength on their side. So we can easily slay them. But the thing is, by their material endeavor, they could not win. Everybody died in the battle. Why? Because Krishna's sanction was not there. So one may one may make all arrangements, one may try his best, but if one get the results, we don't know until Paramatma sanctions. So doership mentality get entangled. So one who thinks himself the only doer of actions, not considering five factors, is certainly foolish. Durmati. One who thinks by my hard work things can get, Lord has to sanction. Certainly foolish, due to impure intelligence and cannot see things as they are, like a blind man. So those people are blind. Some people, many people are there. They say, "What will God do? I became rich because of my strength." So Krishna calls them foolish. Certainly foolish. Oh, you became rich by your own strength? All right, then you are simply a foolish person. Your intelligence is highly impure. You are unable to see. Krishna himself says, one cannot understand me unless he is a devotee of me. Krishna says in the section of Super Soul in 13th chapter, one cannot understand Super Soul unless he becomes my devotee. Okay, this is the last verse for today. One who is not motivated by false ego, whose intelligence is not entangled, though he kills men in this world, does not kill, nor is he bound by his actions. Um, Not motivated by false ego. Motivated by false ego means I am the doer. I am the doer. Duryodhan was motivated by false ego, and he was thinking, by my strength I can win. That so one who is not motivated by false ego, like Arjuna, whose intelligence is not entangled. His intelligence was entangled before because of attachment to his family members, and his his attachment to family member is another manifestation of false ego. I cannot kill them. That was because of attachment. That is also because of false ego. False ego means I am Arjuna and this is my great grandfather, and this is my teacher, and these are my brothers. How can I kill them? This is my brother. That is also false ego. False ego means I am this body, and because I am this body, this person is connected to my body, so this person is my brother. This is also false ego. So false ego is like big. I am the enjoyer, I am the doer, I am this body, everything connected to this body. This is my home, this is my car. This is all manifestation of false ego. So not acting out of false ego, it's like just chant the holy names, become pure in your heart, and then you will naturally become free from acting out of false ego. So one who is not motivated by false ego, whose intelligence is not entangled, though he kills men in this world, does not kill. So Arjuna, because Krishna said you fight and you kill, when Arjuna was killing, there was no sinful reaction Arjuna was getting. Why? Because Krishna asked him to fight and to kill. He was not doing it for his own sake. He was not impelled by false ego. So there is no reaction. Nor is he bound by his action. So Arjuna was never, Arjuna was thinking, if I fight, I will incur sinful reaction, I will go to hell. Arjuna says no. If your action is not motivated by false ego, you do whatever you like and you don't get bind in the karma. Now a simple I will end with this one last line. A pure devotee of the Lord, like these sannyasis, like Srila Prabhupada and these spiritual master, they may be doing, they may be, they are traveling, they have their own projects, uh, um, they are going and preaching, they are engaged in all kind of activities. They are cooking, sometimes they are eating, they do all kind of activities, but they are never entangled, because they are constantly doing it everything for the pleasure of Krishna. When anything is done for the pleasure of Krishna, it does not entangle one. But when one is not doing for the pleasure of Krishna, although it's inherent and we may not understand, but one is doing it out of false ego, and then those activities will entangle us. So this is karma yoga. A person who truly understands karma yoga, he understands, well, let me take to Krishna consciousness, and then I will be allowed to come to a platform where I can actually practice karma yoga. Okay, so would anybody like to ask anything? Okay, okay, we'll end here. वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। थैंक यू। हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्ण।
Hare